There was a point on my fertility journey where things weren't just hard. It felt like my whole world was caving in. I remember being awake at 2 a.m., crying on the bathroom floor, unable to sleep, just desperate for this stage of my life to be done with so I could finally move on and feel like myself again. I'd been through cycles that didn't work, I'd been through loss, and my body felt broken. If you're listening to this episode in the middle of that place where you struggle to find hope and you're wondering how you're supposed to keep going when you're already so exhausted, I want you to know that you are not alone. But how do you pick yourself up and how do you find that strength again? Today on the podcast, we're talking about how to keep going on your fertility journey when it feels like everything is falling apart. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your time with me today. And on this episode, we are talking about the place that I think pretty much every woman who I have spoken to who's on this journey gets to. And that is the place where everything just feels helpless. Like nothing you do seems to get you any closer to your baby. And I think what is so frustrating about this journey when you get to this place is that, when you look at it and you think about everything that's going on, you have so little control over it. It is not like everything else in your life where pretty much where you work as hard as you want at something and you achieve the desired result. And unfortunately, infertility just does not work that way. So today on this episode, what I want to do is help you understand why you feel so stuck and when you get to this place, and then how you can help yourself move through it. Now, if you are a new listener, I want to say a quick welcome and to let you know that we chat about both the scientific and the spiritual ways that you can support yourself on this journey. So I love combining the best of like these really science-backed tools as well as these kind of more woo-woo things that we can lean into as well. And as a yoga and meditation teacher, this is what I love so much about the work that I do because it truly is a magical combination of both, I find. And honestly, it just has so much to offer you on this journey. But before we get into this episode, if you are listening to this in real time, a reminder that you have just 2 days left to jump into the In Your Element fertility yoga program. So if you've been listening to the podcast for some time, you will have heard me speak about this before. It is the most comprehensive mind-body fertility program available. It is open for just a few days out of the year, and we enroll each new student at the same time to make sure everyone gets that same experience, to make sure the group size stays limited. And this is the exact program that I developed after going through all of these things myself. I found what eventually worked, and over time I've been able to refine it and find what really works for all of the students that come through the program. It combines the perfect combination of both the scientific, as I was saying, and the spiritual aspects to fertility support. So inside the program, you'll have access to weekly live fertility yoga classes, monthly coaching calls with our incredible fertility coach, Lauren Enright, who is a neuroscientist and a yoga teacher herself, as well as a fertility coach. You get access to monthly workshops with fertility industry experts. So this includes fertility doctors, nutritionists. We have a fertility nurse on staff who comes in to do workshops as well. You get access to tailored programs for your exact fertility concerns, so you know what to be doing at each phase of your cycle and if you are leading up to different treatments. And you get access to our incredibly supportive community of women who are all over the world and trying to conceive. And honestly, I think this is the thing that is missing from so many of our lives when we're on this journey, this lack of people to turn to, or you're just never around people that get it. And you also get ongoing email support from me as well. So this is a month-to-month program. You can cancel anytime. It is not something that is a set number of months that you have to join it for. It is something that you can jump into for a month, see if it is right for you, and then make the decision from there. It is designed as a support alongside your journey, no matter what stage you're at. So doors are only open until Wednesday, the 4th of February, or until places are done. So please jump into this program if you are thinking about it. Do it today because the doors will be closing very, very soon. You can tell I'm excited about this program. Honestly, it is just everything I wish I'd had when I was on my own journey. So that leads me perfectly into today's episode. Now, as we get into the episode, I want to just point out, first of all, before we go any further, that pulling yourself out of this place where you feel like everything is falling apart and you just can't keep going, this is not about coming from it from this place of toxic positivity or just staying hopeful. But what I want to help you get to is to have a thorough understanding of what is happening in your body and your nervous system and in that emotional world within, and then how to anchor into something deeper when you're trying to rationalize it. And, that just isn't enough sometimes. You can tell yourself all day long that, I need to move on, or this isn't such a big deal, or I just need to calm down, or whatever it is that we tell ourselves. This episode is more about staying connected to yourself when things feel unbearable and learning how to take that next step, even when you cannot see the whole path in front of you. So I think that falling apart can look like so many different things. And, I got into this place after I had been through another round of IVF that hadn't been successful. But there are so many things that can send you down into that spiral. So maybe it is unsuccessful cycles, pregnancy loss, cancelled cycles. I mean, you put so much into a cycle, and then to have it cancelled for whatever number of reasons is extremely devastating. It puts strain onto your relationship, all of your relationships in your life, your friendships, your work. The financial pressure and exhaustion of this journey is not one to be underestimated. And I think one of the things that we find ourselves, one of the places we find ourselves is, who am I anymore? I don't fit in with my friends who have all got kids and they're moving on with their lives. I'm not single, and I don't want to go out and do all the things that I used to do when I was single. But so if I'm not any of these things and I can't move on from this sort of limbo land, who am I? And I think all of these things send us down this spiral of despair and not knowing how to get out of it and not knowing what the tools are to help yourself from that place. I think it's really normal to get into that state where you just want things to be over. You want to quit. We tend to dissociate, we numb out, we withdraw, and we find that we just aren't enjoying life anymore. I think that all of us can relate to that, where you just want to have your life back again. But we don't keep going by pushing harder. The way you keep going is by staying connected. So what does that mean? And I know it is really tempting to rush into okay, how do I get out of this? How do I just move forward? I want to know the steps. Give me the plan, Jen. And I will come back to all of that in a minute. But first, I want to discuss what is actually happening in your body when you feel so stuck and you feel like everything is just falling apart around you. So basically, we are in nervous system overload. We are chronically stressed. We are in that prolonged sympathetic activation of our nervous system where we're basically in a state of fight or flight ongoing for a long period of time. Your body perceives that there is a threat around you. You're in that survival mode constantly. So symptoms that you might recognize within your own body. So that kind of constant low-level anxiety. I use this analogy sometimes with this idea of, such an Australian thing to say, but like having this snake, this deadly snake following you around all day. Like imagine if you wake up in the morning, there's a snake just under your bed waiting for you to put your feet down. Or it's just like hanging out in the back seat as you drive to work. Like you're going to be constantly hypervigilant all day long if there is this threat hanging around you. And, your poor nervous system doesn't understand the difference between the snake and the fear of never having your family. I think that a lot of us will relate to brain fog, exhaustion, just feeling checked out. Like you just have nothing to look forward to anymore. You just have this sense of apathy where you're like, I just can't be bothered with things anymore. And we really lose any sense of hope or motivation. And there is a real reason why this idea of telling yourself what to do doesn't really work. So you can say to yourself, I just need to stay positive, or, I need to just shake this off, or, I'm fine. This isn't so bad. Your brain doesn't understand that the words you're saying are not really translating into what the body is feeling. Your nervous system doesn't understand words or language. It is all very well to tell yourself to move on, but if your body doesn't feel safe enough to do so, it makes absolutely no difference. When the nervous system doesn't feel safe, optimism feels impossible, and it feels quite triggering. It just keeps reminding you that you are not in that place that you really want to be. So what are the things that actually help? So we'll go through these more kind of science-based, or, these proven little tools that I think are the things that are going to help to bring you out of it. And I want you to think of these as like tiny little steps, like micro regulation tools. These are not like big sweeping grand gestures. These are going to be small, simple things that you do on a regular basis. One of the things that I loved most, and I still do it to this day, when something comes up that makes me fearful, like when I look at my mortgage, because I live in Sydney and these things are frightening. When I go into that place where something is about to trigger me, and I did this so much on my fertility journey, thoughts come up, you start to spiral. Place a hand over your heart, gently press in towards your chest, and just take a really deep breath. Just anchor yourself for a moment, reminding your body that in this present moment, you are safe. There isn't anything to fear. And these thoughts that are coming up are just that. They are thoughts. I want you to be really gentle with yourself. Remind yourself that it is okay to feel this way, but you don't need to continue going down that fear spiral when these thoughts come up. So gentle routines are the things that your nervous system are going to love. So your nervous system really loves two things more than anything else: predictability and consistency. So it loves to know what's coming, and it loves to know that these things will keep coming. I always think about, when I'm thinking about nervous system regulation, I think about my dad. So my dad, Frank, he is 73. He's in very good health. I look at his life and I think, I could not imagine a more regulated person. So he gets up at the same time every day. He reads the paper, like the physical newspaper. He goes for a walk around the neighborhood, comes back, has coffee, has breakfast, does it all again, comes back, has lunch. He goes to the shops. Maybe he'll go to an appointment. He might come and see me one day, whatever might be going on. He has the most predictable, consistent days. And he's a pretty chill guy. I tell you, not much really rattles my dad. And I feel like my life is crazy compared to his. But whenever I think about my nervous system and the things that it really appreciates, it's these little things. It's getting some sunlight first thing in the morning. It's going for a walk every day. It's giving yourself time and space. And I know my dad is retired and has a lot more time and space than most of us, especially if you're struggling through your fertility journey. But just taking a little bit of stock of what you are doing throughout your day, and where can you fit in pockets of time for you. And they don't have to be, I need to go for an hour walk in the morning and an hour in the evening, or I need to sit down and read and meditate for a half an hour. It's 5 minutes here, 2 minutes here, just a moment before I go into a meeting, or I get out of my car, or I pick up the phone, whatever it might be. Anything that you can do to help keep that consistency and that predictability is going to be hugely regulating for your nervous system. And when your body and your nervous system feels safe, that is where we start to feel more capable, and we come out of that feeling of despair and like everything is falling apart. We feel stronger. We feel more capably stronger. Does that make sense? In both an emotional and a physical and a mental sense as well. The concept of capacity, I think, is really important as well. You are not broken in any way throughout any of this. Your nervous system is completely overwhelmed, and it's just like a bucket or a cup. You can only pour so much into that, and it gets to a place where you have nothing left. So we need to start emptying out some of these things that are taking over your life, these endless thought paths that we go down, these spirals where we just think we can't move forward. And where can we find these pockets of time for ourselves? So the goal isn't to feel hopeful all the time. We don't have to feel positive all the time. It is about just feeling safe enough to take that next step, because that is going to be the key to keep going. And like I said, these little steps are going to look different for everyone, but they need to be simple and they need to be small. I love the idea of planning like fertility free days or weekends or weeks or however much time you want to put into that. But you got to plan something that is completely unrelated to your fertility journey, because I find that, we get into this place where we don't make decisions unless it comes from that reframe of, well, is this going to help or hinder my fertility today? So plan a day where you just eat what you want. You do what you want. You don't worry about going through the perfect fertility diet and making sure that you do all of the appointments that you have to do it. Just give yourself permission to have these days where fertility issues are not on your plate. I find that so, so freeing. I did an episode a couple of weeks ago about the one next step that you should take when you are feeling really stuck on this journey. So if you haven't listened to that, I recommend you go back and do so, because this was around really focusing on your physical body when you're feeling stuck. So if nothing else feels possible and everything else just feels like totally out of control, you can start with this question of, how can I make my body feel just a little bit better today? And coming back to your physical body and your physical health can often be really, really powerful. So let's get into some more spiritual things. How can you support yourself on a deeper level when you feel like everything you're doing is just not enough? So to me, I use this word hope, and I do because it resonates with a lot of people. But the word hope, I find, can be a little bit problematic because it can feel quite out of reach. Like, the things that you're wanting are really out of your control and you're kind of grasping or reaching for them, and it's something you can't quite get to. So instead, I like this concept of borrowing a belief. And I used to borrow beliefs from my future self. So it's an exercise that you could do where you check in with the future version of you, who she's the woman who has the baby. She has the family of your dreams, and go a little bit further than that, build the life of your dreams as well, like the work, the house, everything. And ask her, from this woman who knows that everything has worked out exactly as it has needed to, what does she believe? If your future self could come back and say to you, what, the things that you were really stressed about and the things that you kept focusing on, maybe they were not the things that really made the difference in the end. Just cutting out the noise, sitting in some silence, connecting to that place of where you are in the future and you have everything you want. And what does that person believe? What does that version of you believe? And really starting to trust that you are doing everything that you need to get there. Some other gentle spiritual practices that I love for these moments where we feel like we're falling apart. As I mentioned before, this hand on heart grounding practice that you can do whenever you are feeling overwhelmed in a moment, thoughts come up, you're feeling dysregulated. Take that. It takes a few seconds. Speaking to your body instead of trying to control it. So asking, what does my body need today? Just sort of checking in with, how do I feel? Do I feel energized? Do I feel like I can take on a bit more than normal today? Or am I just feeling like I need to take a step back? And instead of saying to myself, what am I doing wrong? What is wrong with my body? What is wrong with me on this journey? What do I need to fix? Reframing that into, what can I do to support myself today? Because your body isn't broken. You are not doing anything wrong. It is just about finding the support that you need on this journey. And unfortunately, we just need a little bit more support than others do. So as we start to wrap up this episode, I want to redefine what keep going means. So I think we get into this state where I need to keep going. I need to keep pushing and doing. But instead, I want you to come back to this concept of it can mean resting. It can mean pausing. It can mean just staying connected to your body instead of being productive all of the time. I'm going to give you this permission slip that you are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to sit in that space of, I am so sad for me, but also I know what is possible in the future. We are allowed to hold both of these feelings and emotions at once. You are allowed to fall apart and then step forwards and then go back again. This doesn't have to be a linear process. You do not need the whole plan. You just need to take that next safe little step. So to finish today, I want to offer you a 2-minute grounding practice. So this is something you can do. Obviously, if you're driving, this isn't something that I want you to do straight away. If you're out walking while you're listening to this, I listen to podcasts while I'm out walking. So I always think that people are doing that. So you can do that if you're walking, or if you're at home and you have the opportunity to lie down and close your eyes, that would be amazing. So I want you to start by placing one hand on your heart and one hand on your lower belly. And when you feel ready, take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. And then slowly exhale through your mouth and just softly release that breath all the way down. And take another deep breath just like that all the way in. Slowly out. And just notice the weight of your body. Notice where you are supported by the space beneath you, the floor, the chair, the earth, whatever it might be. Take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel your shoulders drop just a little away from your ears. Release the jaw, the belly. I want to remind you that you don't need to change how you're feeling right now. You don't need to fix anything. And if your fertility journey feels like it's falling apart, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to be here exactly as you are. You don't need to hold yourself together every moment of the day. And you don't need to stay hopeful all of the time. You only need to stay connected to your body, to your baby, and all that is to come. So you can say quietly to yourself, to your body now, I'm here and I'm listening. Take one more deep breath in. And then exhale, just coming back to the space around you. Thank you so much for listening to the end of this episode and for being here today. And just know that everything hasn't fallen apart. And I have seen and witnessed and experienced too many stories of the most unlikely and amazing things happening to women for me to believe that it isn't possible for you too. So as we finish up, a reminder that you have just a couple of days to jump into the In Your Element fertility yoga program. If you have been thinking about it, now is the time to jump in. And I have been welcoming so many incredible new women into this program over the weekend, and I cannot wait to get started. And it would be an absolute honor to support your journey too in any way that I can. So if you have any questions for me about the program or anything else and you want to reach out, you can email me, you can DM me, or send me a voice note. All the links are in the show notes. Now, as we prepare for next week's episode, I have to tell you, I'm so incredibly excited for this one. I'm going to be sitting down and speaking to the one and only Priyanka Saha. You may know her as the Lily Flower. And Priyanka is going to be speaking about her experiences with loss, moving through trauma, and the incredible practice that made the biggest difference in her own life since losing her daughter, Lily. This is a conversation you don't want to miss, and I cannot wait to listen to it again. So until then, I am sending you all of my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. A few days of the year, I open the doors to the In Your Element Fertility Yoga program. This is the most comprehensive mind-body fertility program you will find anywhere. Studies show us that the stress of infertility can be compared to receiving a diagnosis of a terminal illness. And while doctors are there to support your body from a medical perspective, it's not their job to help alleviate and manage your stress levels. So how can you get through the anxiety of trying to conceive in a way that feels calmer and easier? I designed the Element program to help support your fertility in 3 important ways. To help reduce your cortisol levels, helping you regulate your nervous system, to increase circulation and blood flow while releasing physical tension from your body, and to reconnect you back to yourself, to find that sense of peace and knowing that you are capable and in control. On top of this, we run weekly live classes, ongoing workshops with fertility experts such as doctors, nutritionists, and therapists. You'll receive personalized programs and be surrounded by a community of women who get it. This is a month-to-month program, so you can jump in today and decide if it's right for you. Doors are open for just a few days or until places are full, and I can't wait to see you on the inside.